rise if you are willing and able. Good morning. Good to see you. The writer Rebecca Solnit said, "The stars we are given, the constellations we make." That is to say, stars exist in the cosmos, but constellations are the imaginary lines we draw between them, the readings that we give the sky and the stories that we tell. And today we tell stories about endings, or the desire to end, and the courage it takes to decide, whether that be a love relationship or a friendship that is no longer thriving, work that has become life draining, or an encounter with mortality itself. There's often much fear to overcome until it becomes clear that the way open is emerging, and then the great relief lies in letting go. Our chalice this morning is lit for every one of us, that we may face our fears of change, find courage, and move into greater wholeness. We gather as community in all that we hold dear and so challenging as we join in finding the way forward in love. We put one foot in front of the other, or one set of wheels, or whatever it takes to swim forward in the waters of life. Blessed be.
You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. You're not alone. You're not alone. Don't you give up. Don't you give up. Keep moving on. Keep moving on. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Lift up your voice. Lift up your voice. Don't you despair. Don't you despair. Look up ahead. Look up ahead. The path is there. The path is there. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. I know you're scared. I know you're scared. And I'm scared too. And I'm scared too. But here I am. But here I am. Right next to you. Right next to you. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. And lead with love. And lead with love. And lead with love.
Good morning, All Souls. My name is Morgan Duncan, and I get to be your worship associate this morning. Please refer to me using he, him pronouns. Welcome, all souls, to our time of togetherness. I do not welcome you to church, for you are the church. I do not welcome you to the work, for you have been doing the work of our community since we last met. I do not welcome you to this historic building, our church home, since so many of those sharing this moment are in other places, in other cities, other states, other countries. No. My purpose is to welcome you to this moment when, by whatever paths, resting from whatever tasks, overcoming whatever obstacles, foregoing whatever pleasures, by whatever path, you have come to this moment when we take an hour or so to bask in the warmth of being together. I want to extend a special welcome to those of you for whom this is your first time with us, or your first time in a long time. You are home here. As a member of the great family of All Souls, you are home. There are 3 ways to access this morning's order of service. For those on Zoom, there's a link to the order of service in the chat. For those in the building, you can use the QR code, which I believe is near your pew. If you prefer a printed copy, there are a few of those available. You can ask an usher. If you'd like to keep up with the news of the church during our time apart, please read our weekly email bulletin. If you'd like to sign up to receive the bulletin, please visit the All Souls website, or you can click on the link in the chat. We recognize the original people who lived on the land where our church now stands. The closest settlement was the Nacotchtank, from which the name Anacostia is derived. They were part of the Piscataway group of First Nations. We acknowledge that indigenous peoples were here before us, are here with us now, and will continue to be with us as we look forward to the future. Let us take a moment of silence now to reflect on the original peoples of the land where we are today in our many locations around the United States and around the world. We come now to our time of beholding, a time to see those others who are with us sharing this time of togetherness. Do what you can to see each other and allow yourselves to be seen, to share this brief time we have paused in our labors to be together. Either here or on Zoom, share a smile or a wave or a word to those around you while this music plays.
Don't call it crazy, don't call me insane, don't call it being cautious when you know the way, don't call it being foolish when you know the game, the game. Gotta call it by its name, 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 yeah. Precious brewing, come in my house, precious brewing, filling me down. Think you got me on my knees, no you don't. Think you'll take the sun away, no you won't. Don't call me crazy, don't call it insane, don't call it being cautious when you know the way, don't call it being foolish when you know the game, the game. Gotta call it by its name, 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 call it by its name. Ooh, oh, it'll brutalize, make you believe it lies, and don't call it dumb, you gotta call it by its name. Oh, it'll paralyze, make you believe it's lies, and don't fall victim, you gotta call it by its name. Call it by its name, call it by its name, don't fall victim, you gotta call it by its name, call it by its name, don't fall victim, you gotta call it by its name, call it by its name, you gotta call it by its name, 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 paralyze, make you believe it's lies, call it by its name, don't fall victim, you gotta call it by its name, it'll paralyze, make you believe it's lies, don't fall victim, you gotta call it by its name, 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 call it by its name.
Amen to that. Thank you. Hello, All Souls. I am Reverend Rob Keithan. I use he, him pronouns, and I have the pleasure of serving as Minister of Social Justice here. A few events to highlight, starting with two things further out and then several things happening today. Over 100 congregants have now participated in one of the spiritual storytelling workshops that form the core of Imagining Our Future, the church's largest goal-setting project in a decade. If you haven't yet signed up to participate, now is the time to do so. There are only 6 sessions left, the last one being Sunday, November 7th. Click the Imagining Our Future graphic on the website to register or follow the link in the chat. Also, registration is now open for the next round of All Souls Introduction to Anti-Racism for White People class. This course will help white people at All Souls cultivate self-awareness, learn key concepts for racial justice transformation, and develop relationships with other white people for mutual accountability and support. It's 4 sessions of 2 hours each every Monday night in November on Zoom. You can click the link in the chat or visit the Adult Spiritual Development page to learn more. And here are 3 things happening today. Our Multiracial Families Affinity Group meets today on Zoom at 12:45. If you are interested in meeting other multiracial or mixed race families with or without children, email Dolores Miller for the Zoom link. This group meets every 4th Sunday. Also today, October 24th, is United Nations Day. And All Souls has joined with several other UU congregations and the United Nations Association of the National Capital Area for a Taking Action on Climate Change forum. Speakers include a senior climate advisor of the State Department and Dolores Marlin from All Souls, who's leading the Unitarian Universalist delegation to COP26, the UN Climate Change Conference happening in Glasgow in November. That forum is today from 4 to 5:30 on Zoom. Click the link in the chat or check the church's Facebook page. And finally, all are invited to take part in person if you are here at noon for a child dedication out in front of our church, where we will welcome and pledge our support to two of the newest members of the great family of All Souls. In our Unitarian Universalist tradition, child dedications are explicitly a public act that requires affirmation from a community. So we hope you'll stay if you're here, or hop on your bike or car and come down for the child dedication at noon. We turn now to our congregational concerns, and today there are 3 people in our All Souls community facing serious health challenges. Let us send healing wishes and prayers to Reverend Kathleen Clarenbach, member of the All Souls community based in Portland, Oregon, as she is once again in the hospital. Catherine has been in some months of medical care and now has several serious issues. So we send love to her and her spouse, Julie. We send prayers of healing as well to Grant Smith. Grant continues to battle cancer and has a new tumor in his head. He and his wife, Suzanne, leave for Houston today in preparation for surgery on Thursday. We send our love and prayers to Grant, to Suzanne, and to their daughter, Maeve. And we hold Marjorie Myers in our hearts, now in Georgetown Hospital with all 3 sons in town. Just the last 2 weeks, Marjorie has been in intensive medical diagnosis, and we are very sad to announce that she has advanced cancer and hopes to transfer to hospice care at home on Monday. She is stable for now and relatively comfortable. The family requests no calls, texts, and visitors due to Marjorie's great fatigue. They would like stories, memories, and cards sent to her home. Much love to Marjorie and to her family. She has accompanied so many over her years at All Souls. And last, a joy. We celebrate the wedding on Tuesday of Sarah Bellotti and Ben Gullett in a courtyard ceremony here at All Souls. Sarah and Ben had been living in Tunisia and are in DC between posts. On Monday, they leave for Angola, where they will be for the next few years. We wish them much happiness and safe travels. Are they here this morning? In the silence that follows, please say aloud the names of those you carry on your hearts this morning. Spirit of life and love, guide of beginnings and endings, help us to be present and open-hearted for those in need. In the midst of such uncertainty, may our thoughts, may our prayers help our struggling members know that with absolute certainty, they are held by our love and our care. And dear Spirit, be with us also as we welcome and commit ourselves to the newest members of our community. It is our faith that each child born is one more Redeemer, and that we, individually and especially together, have the power to create a world that is worthy of these young lives. Amen.
We hold all our joys and concerns, named and unnamed, in our hearts this day. Amen. A Lament by Saskia van Groningen. Today my scope remains unaltered. Standing here in front of you, I wonder what backwater roads brought me here today. What hindsight did I miss? What karma did I manage to sweep under the fall leaves? Did I not dream big enough? Was my love not far-reaching, my intent wavering? Today my scope remains unaltered. You know my story, or not, or half of it, and can possibly imagine a more beautiful one. What road did I tread upon that leaves me wondering who we are and why? Still, time keeps floating in the wind, moving me forward, moving me forward.
As I roll, I'd like to give a shout out to our amazing ASL interpreter today. Who is clearly some kind of dancer. Whoa. And I do not want to get your name wrong. Will you shout it out? Because I barely heard. Karan. Woo! Karan is insanely beautiful today, and I hear is back. He used to do services for 3 years, so some of you may have seen his artistry before. So thank you. We are moving forward in strange times, are we not? In this ongoing pandemic and the devolution of many worlds we imagined were fixed. In me, this creates a kind of time fog confusion where I think, did it happen in 2019? Did it happen in 2020, the lost year? It's a season of cyclical recalculating, probing questions, much wondering. Are we where we want to be? For how long? And what might change again by choice or by circumstance unforeseen? I hear and bear witness to this kind of process often. The sifting through life and loss, the emerging realization that more may be possible. We are mourning deaths, leaving work, deciding to marry, deciding to divorce, relocating near more family or to be closer to nature, sometimes just ditching lots of well-planned life goals and moving in radical shifts. And many of us find life to be in very deep flux right now. This passage has me pondering a particular thing, the cast of characters in my life thus far, friendships and love relationships. And so I'm going to tell some stories today in this story year about constancy, change, and the courage to end. I'm going to go a bit personal. And tomorrow I may have that vulnerability hangover that Brene Brown talks about. But I'm going to go for it. Let's see how it goes. All right. So my very good friend Saskia wrote this lamentation poem that we just heard around 2006 in Washington, D.C. It's a contemplation about life and the mystery of it all. Saskia and I go back a long, long way and forward to this very day where she was my transport here this morning and sits in the pew. I've warned her. 41 years ago, in 1980, we were two eager 20-something students at the University of Oregon in Eugene. We each had a life partner, and all four of us were several years older than most of our classmates and were kind of sure that we were more mature, if you know what I mean. And Saskia and I had taken some twists and turns to arrive at that place of study. At 22, I was returning to finish school after having left in the middle of the second semester in my first California college round when I was 18. Much to the horror and utter dismay of my parents, I moved to Colorado with my then boyfriend so we could backpack in the Rockies and work for a while. It seemed like a great plan to me. But this time, at the university in Eugene, I was living in married student housing, and I was working my way through school with my husband's support. Saskia was newly in the country from the Netherlands with her partner from Arizona, whom she had met on a kibbutz in Israel a few years before. She and I met in our first seminar classes at this small school within the school, this Clark Honors College, and we bonded immediately. Back then, I didn't know yet what hindsight I would miss in the future or what karma I was sweeping under the fall leaves. All I knew was that I was excited to be back at college and very happy to be in Oregon. In that previous iteration of my life, of who I was and who I still am, I thrived. I got to work as a dancer in the Eugene Ballet. I was in arts administration on campus and somehow made it all work. Yet my marriage weakened and faltered in Eugene. I changed a lot, and I was afraid that we were drifting apart. And my husband, who had been that high school boyfriend that I went to Colorado with, decided that he was changing too. He started law school in Berkeley, and I stayed to finish up the year. We eventually split in a very painful divorce after I found the courage to end, to face the difficult fact that 10 years was our stopping place. I needed to end in order to thrive fully and inhabit my expanding world. And it was so difficult to break his heart. Yet I had to choose my life that was emerging. We had the privilege of processing our decade together over a number of times in the years that followed, and he remains my first true love. I had 2 more long-term partners on the way to where I am now, and each of those took some courage and some stamina amidst serious change too. I ended with my next partner in the second 10-year relationship where some deep loss and some grief caused us to move further apart. We couldn't find a way back to our future together. And my third spouse ended with me in an intense devolving of midlife crisis that cut me to the core after a series of health crises for her. In each case, I have been able to process later with those beloveds what we could see, what we could not perceive. And this is a gift that we don't all get, to know each other through someone else's eyes, to know ourselves, to learn about our strengths and our limits. I love these 3 people deeply. And yet, I had to find the courage to end and move on in life. I'm grateful to them and I wish them well. And my friend Saskia, she's known every partner in these 41 years, am I right? The friends remain, the partners may roll through. She's been a steady friend, and some of us have one long and enriching primary relationship in love, and some of us find other paths through marriages and transformations. My fourth, and now very significant other, and I have been together 17 and a half years. I feel this is the last marriage for each of us. We just may be tired, but but we're in. And it is the culmination of a lot of difficult inner work and this yearning for the right partner for each time. Regina and I met when I had just moved from New York City to DC for this new job at All Souls Church. I didn't know anyone here except my old friend Saskia. And I had come through that wrenchingly hard crash and burn breakup of someone else's midlife crisis the year before. Saskia encouraged me to leap into this DC opportunity to face my fears about relocating, to embrace my grief about a hard ending. She kept moving me forward when I was not sure I could swim again in these love relationship waters. And yet, still unknown to me, Regina was the person I was swimming towards. Now, this week I read the following Wash Post headline: "In end, they floated into married life." Did anybody see this? The writer Jennifer Hassan described this marriage story. A couple determined to reach their wedding venue on Monday, last Monday, despite flash floods and landslides that were ravaging southern India, found themselves with limited travel options. So they sailed to the ceremony in a giant cooking pot. It was like this big. Dressed in their colorful wedding attire, they climbed into the pot known as a chembu. Now, because of the strong undercurrents, there were 5 friends around the pot who were walking because the water was up to about here, but the current was underneath and the pot was going to go wild. So they guided it to the temple for about 20 treacherous minutes. The bride and groom met doing COVID duties in a hospital. They got engaged. They eventually decided to take that risky ride to marriage. And this was despite very strong family opposition from the bride's uncle over caste differences, and even as the streets were impassable with high waters. The groom's father swam to the temple. His mother, grandmother, and sisters used another chembu pot. And video footage of this nuptial voyage caused a stir in the neighborhood. Local people were so glad to celebrate something because 35 people had lost their lives in that severe flooding. And yet, as the bride said, by God's grace, we got married. The accompanying photograph is a great symbol of that flowing marriage journey and surprise, we might say. 2 people in a pot moving through waters they expect, and many they do not, the undercurrents, embarking in good faith with loving intentions, and then so often finding these strong challenges along the way. But these loving friends and family help steer, literally moving the pot as you go along, navigating the water and helping us flow forward. And in this case, they literally walked alongside, moving the pot to safety to find a place to disembark. The famous anthropologist Margaret Mead, who I found out once spoke here in the 50s, was asked in a radio interview how she felt about having 3 failed marriages. Nice. She replied briskly that, to the contrary, she had 3 that were right for their time, each in a time of her own development in the world. I went to look that quote up and then found out about another layer I knew nothing about. Mead married 2 fellow academics with whom she had partnerships. Neither survived the long separations for scholarly work and her own evolving change. And she had a 3rd husband whom she loved dearly, with whom she had a child that she adored. And all along, all the way from grad school on, Margaret Mead had a first true love, an older woman who was her passionate partner with whom she was afraid to make a life. She carried that fear, that secret, that restriction in the time when living openly with a woman was an enormous risk. Her husbands accommodated this partner along the way, and yet there was tragic loss. of a life not lived and fully expressed. And her female partner was able to become one of the guardians of her child, along with Margaret Mead and her third husband. Yet the majority of the world knew nothing of this deep inner life and great love until her daughter decided to publish the letters between the two. In all major transitions of work and health and love and friendships, I think we know in our hearts when it is time to let go, to drop that heavy and sorrowful weight of trying to keep moving forward in order to release into the reality of where things are. And when we come to understand the dimensions of our own restrictions, when we release the fear that is causing damage, change can happen. We often must realize that fear is limiting our physical health, our peace of mind, our mental health, or who we might become. This can be a long and winding process. Whoa, tiring. Speaking for myself, with a great deal of circling back around and swimming sideways. The Quakers have a saying, way closed, when the path forward seems to end. They say way open, when something starts to flow and waters move in unexpected ways and the gifts of grace start arriving. When my marriage ended in 2003, I was heartbroken, way closed. Yet the very next year, I found way open to a congregation I would come to love, a woman with whom I would make a joyful life, and a return to ministry that fed my soul. Think about swimming in the waters that move you forward now, whether chosen in your own Chembu pot or having been tossed into the deep unexpectedly. Are you open to what may be emerging, not just the loss of letting go, but also the new which will be coming? The potential you can't fully perceive. Not only the heartache of separation and divorce, but the friendships that sustain you and the family which has your back. Not just the work you leave, but the life you will find. And all the ways you are becoming your older and wiser self. As Rebecca Solnit tells us, the stars we are given, the constellations we make. That is to say, stars exist in the cosmos, she writes, but constellations are the imaginary lines we draw between them, the readings we give the sky, and the stories that we tell. Perhaps it is time to tell a new story. Perhaps it is time to let go. May we have the courage to swim. Amen.
For most of the 1990s, I was a member of River Road Unitarian Church. It was near where I worked at the time, and I had several friends who were members, so every Sunday morning, I made the 20-minute trek from Crestwood, which is just up the street from here, out to River Road. I started coming to All Souls in 2004. When asked why I made that change, my answer has always been that All Souls' second service started 15 minutes later than River Road's service, and I hated to get out of bed 1 second before I had to. The real reason, though, is that someone associated with the church said something to me that bothered me. Bothered me deeply enough to not only make me consider leaving River Road, but to make me doubt whether I wanted to attend church at all. place we go to church, the community with which we choose to worship, is part of our identity. Leaving it behind is a wrenching experience. Stepping away from that place, even as uncomfortable as it had become, made me feel unfaithful, untethered, alone. I've never regretted my choice to come to All Souls. From the very beginning, I've been moved by the beauty of this building, enchanted by the music, invigorated by the word from the pulpit, embraced by this congregation. But most important for me, I've been reminded over and over that church is not the building. It is the work we do in the world. There are so many ways in which All Souls is doing great work, and I give as generously as I can to support that work. I hope you will too. You may click the link in the chat that will direct you to the All Souls online donations. You can text ASCU to 73256. That's 73256. You may also leave your donations at the office or in the back with the ushers. This morning's offering will now be received.
This summer night, will it wait for me? I can't please you all at one time. How can anybody? Something always suffers. No matter the cost, a husband, a wife, or your life, or your job, oh, the balance I seek will be too hard to keep. If nobody cares if I'm dead and gone, nobody cares if I'm happy at all. The guy from the bar wants you to bend for him when he has you on your floor. Won't matter 'cause he's earning. Something always suffers no matter the cost. Your ability to survive behind the lies that you're taught. Oh, the balance I seek will be too hard to keep. Nobody cares if I'm dead and gone. If nobody cares if I'm happy at all. There was a time my people were product to you. If we can't supersede that now, where will I be headed to? Something always suffers at my humanity's cost. You doubt me as a woman, but claim to respect my job. Oh, the balance I seek will be too hard to keep. If no one cares if you're dead and gone, if nobody cares if I'm stuck on the door, oh, hey, hey, keep your dance up, don't you moan, hey, the balance I seek will be too hard to keep. If nobody cares if I'm dead and gone.
Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't need to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't need to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't need to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Holy breath and holy name, will you ease this pain? Holy breath and holy name, will you ease this pain? Loosen, loosen, baby, and you don't need to care.
let go. Into the mic. The benediction this morning comes from a text I received of 3 beautiful flowers in a garden. It said, sending you waves of energy, love, and gratitude. It came from Marjorie Myers, because this is who she is, sending me waves of energy, because she knew I was preaching on one leg. And I got to see her in the hospital yesterday, and her spirit is clear, and her medical knowledge is full because she's a doctor, and she's going home tomorrow to start the process with love and clarity. When we send love to Marjorie, and she sends it back to me, and we send love to Catherine Clarenbach in the hospital in Portland, and she sends it back to you, and we send love to Sarah and Ben as they fly to Angola, and Suzanne and Grant as they fly to Houston. There is a love holding us. We rest in that love. And out of all that, new ground arises. It is a privilege to be in this place together. Blessings as we go forth.
Here on the new ground, oh, what will we grow? Here on the new ground, what seed will we sow? I know, I know, I know, I know, I know. Oh, I love the trees, and it pained me to take them down. I traded them for sunlight on the bright new ground. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Oh, the stones were heavy and muscled up my back. A fancy field in the house made the firewood neatly stacked. Hard roll, oh hard roll, hard roll, hard roll. Oh, kneel down to the buzzard and bow to the crow. The earth is black as a bird's wing and braided in coal.